We are going to have a conversation about, the issues with the rollout of SHA and SHIF countrywide and what that means and how that is impacting people. We'll be joined by the MP for Githunguri constituency, Gathoni Wamuchomba. She's on the way. She got stuck up somewhere, but she says, apologies, please ask the people to just bear with me. I'm on my way. I will be there very soon. As she does that, let me tell you this story that you read the headline in the paper.
Yes.
Lawyer denied chief's job for being overqualified. A man who was denied a chance to become a chief for allegedly being overqualified has gotten relief after the High Court quashed the appointment of his competitor. Abdullahi Omar Abajilo, who holds a bachelor's degree in law, had lodged a petition in the Employment and Labour Relations Court at Meru, where he argued that his constitutional rights were violated during the recruitment process of the chief of the township location in Moyale sub-county Marsabit. Abajilo, through his advocate Mugambi Kiogora, said he was among those who applied for the job, but Asha Ibrahim Boru was picked. Abajilo said the process in which Boru got the job was unconstitutional, illegal, unreasonable, irrational, and constitutionally unfair. Constitutionally unfair. In the matter before Justice Onesmus Macau, he had sought an order restraining Boru from assuming office, exercising the power and functions of Chief Grade 2 for township location, or drawing any salaries or allowances. Kiogora said his client was among other candidates who applied for the job after the ministry advertised the vacancy, and the panel that did the interviews recommended Boru, leaving him feeling aggrieved since the process and the appointment was marred with corruption, tribalism, nepotism, among others. Abajilo claimed Boru was not qualified for the appointment as per the advertisement and the schemes of service. He said she possessed an academic grade of D+ in KCSE, secondary education, and instead of a C plane, and she hailed from another location. He told the court that the principle of fair representation was breached as the minority community was underrepresented, and that the winner was a sister to the assistant chief of township sublocation, and the community was dominant. He contended that although he emerged the top candidate during the interviews, Boru was unfairly recommended for appointment, an act which amounted to abuse of administrative authority and discretion. He says the action the respondents violated his right to equality before the law. However, the PS and the Moyale Deputy County Commissioner told the court Abajilo was just trying to mislead the court that the panel had declared him the top candidate, and the results of the interviews were never shared anywhere save in the court. In the decision, Justice Macau said it's clear that the process lacked openness as there was no material non-disclosure. The recruitment process was tainted with indirect discrimination against Abajilo and other applicants. So the judge quashed the appointment of Ms. Boru.
This is now our constitution in action.
Buana.
Alive and well.
Buana.
It raises a question that actually requires examining. How do you determine overqualification?
That's the thing. Throughout this, I've not heard where he's actually raising the issue of I'm overqualified. I see him raising the issue of she is not qualified because the requirement was a C and she got a D. But I'm not seeing where he says I was discriminated because I have a bachelor's degree.
No, he didn't raise that issue. Who raised the issue of his overqualification? Unless
it's also part of his suit, but.
It wasn't covered in the paper, in the newspaper.
Yeah, Faris Mutembei's story did not capture that. I don't know. Hapo ndio maneno iko. Hapo ndio maneno iko.
You see, how do you overqualify for a job?
That's the thing.
Wouldn't it be a good thing to have somebody who had a wealth of information or a wealth of experience than to do that job? Or are you saying that usually the fear comes about with how you're going to have to remunerate them or compensate them because you feel as though they have this wealth of experience, so you think that they're going to demand a lot more money from you, so you say, actually, you know what, we're looking for somebody who's less qualified than you, so we don't have to pay them as much.
You know, the job of a chief and the remuneration is not something you're going to negotiate. It's predetermined. You know. It's not as though if you come with a PhD, they're going, that PhD is yours.
Yeah.
That degree, it's yours. You're niyako. This is what we pay.
Do you meet the minimum?
Yes, that's it. And this is what we pay the chief. That's it. But more importantly, Wouldn't it be nice to have a chief who actually has studied the law?
This is what I'm saying. You could actually benefit from this wealth of experience that this individual has.
Yes.
Why would you say that they're overqualified? The overqualification, if you want to put that in inverted, is that it could actually be of benefit to you as the hiring organization.
What is being spoken of here is something that's fairly daunting. They're actually saying, we want people who are not very qualified for this job.
That's what you're saying. We're going to lower the mark. Yeah. We're going to lower the mark. And then you expect to get fantastic output. I mean, have we not got it backwards?
Something isn't quite
There's
right.
something wrong. Something I miss here. You would think.
Before Gathoni gets here, let me give you another story.
Yes.
So yesterday, cabinet, all of them met.
Shouting.
-1. There's no interior minister. There's an acting one, right? So 24 ministers are in office. President William Ruto chaired a cabinet meeting at State House, and he was briefed on the impressive stability of the macroeconomic situation in the country following 2 years of deliberate fiscal management measures.
Which country?
Kenya.
Oh, okay.
The Kenyan economy continues its strong recovery from past global and domestic challenges, achieving a robust growth. Members of the cabinet were informed that inflation, which reflects the increase in prices over time, had declined substantially to 2.7% last month, down from a high of 9.6% in September 2022. Why September 2022 is important? Because this is when the administration came into office. Okay. This is the lowest inflation rate since 2007 during President Mwai Kibaki's tenure, and it aligns with the target set in the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto. Consequently, the prices of various types of food, particularly maize, beans, peas, have decreased over the past year. A 2 kg packet of maize, which was retailing at 176 a year ago, is now selling at 124. I think the presidential communication team wanted to say maize flour, right? The cabinet was also informed that foreign exchange reserves at the CBK are at an all-time high of 9.5 billion shillings. It's an increase of 2.4 billion shillings, equivalent to 4.4 months of export cover. We're doing well.
Okay.
The meeting was further told that the country's economic growth has remained steady and ranks among the highest globally. Kenya's economic growth is ranking amongst the highest globally at 5.6% in 2023, with an estimated growth of 5% this year and next year. Regarding the exchange rate, the cabinet noted that the shilling has stabilized at 129 from the high of 162 after appreciating by nearly 20% earlier in the year. This appreciation led to reduced external debt service. Interest rates are beginning to decrease, which will result in lower domestic interest rate costs, creating fiscal space. On the revenue side, KRA's tax collections have grown by double digits. Tax revenue increased by 11.5% in the year to June 2024. The food situation in the country, stable. The cabinet was told that due to the government subsidized fertilizer program and other support measures extended to farmers, food security situation in the country has stabilized. As a result, most households can access basic food requirements. Currently, the country has 95.2 million 50-kilogram bags of maize, 8.8 million bags of beans, 10.4 million bags of wheat, 2.1 million bags of rice in stock. We are in the years of who?
Plenty.
Of Joseph. On sugar, the meeting noted that Kenya has for the first time produced enough sugar to meet local demand. As a result, no sugar will be imported this year. This achievement is due to subsidized fertilizer provided to farmers and improved management of the sector. Rona, mambo everywhere you look, even on labor, they say we have job opportunities. We have now sugar, we don't need to import sugar. Tuko na mchele, tuko na inaitwa mpunga, tuko na mpunga, tuko na mahindi, tuko na, kwa nafaka imewekwa. Mambo ya selling imestabilize 129. Nakumbuka Ruto akisema around 125, something like that, right? It hit there.
Okay.
129. Okay?
This is the land of
inflation, we are back to 2007 days.
Okay.
My friend,
Mambo iko bamba.
if you are like the Catholic bishops now here coming to say, I don't know what, are they not in Kenya, these
Can
Catholic
they
bishops?
see? Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Those bishops from the Kenya Catholic bishops should come back home.
Okay.
Because clearly they have left the country.
They don't understand.
They don't get it.
Really?
No, they don't get it.
So the poverty levels in Kenya have gone down considerably, has it?
Well,
There's
yes.
food.
The macroeconomic indicators are showing
You
that we're
asked
heading
the
in that
question that the
direction.
poverty levels have gone down. The answer is there is food in the barn. That's
Well,
the problem.
actually,
Easily
that
accessible
isn't-
and affordable. Okay?
It's like saying, is the sky blue? Then you say, there are cows in the field.
All right.
Whether it's answering the question or not, it's not
All
the
right.
problem.
It's like telling
I'm
me
just
that-
giving you information.
Okay, so I've asked a question like telling me there's money in the bank.
What
So why am I
else do
saying
you
there's
want
no
to
money?
hear?
Okay, what I'm referring to here is money in the hands of those who need it most, and money in the hands of those who have businesses that we keep being told are shutting down. Money in the hands of those who employ people who are reducing the number of people that they are employing.
Can I answer you? The Kenya shilling remains stable at 129 to the US dollar.
The macroeconomic indicators are pointing and 5.6% growth of the economy this year, among the highest in the world.
All right, so we are saying that when you have one of these highest in the world indicators, then your people should be poorer. People should be losing their jobs constantly. That's a clear sign that everything that the macro thingy which you mentioned has stabilized with the shilling, which has also stabilized, and there's food in the barn and there's money in the bank. So,
look, bro, it doesn't have to make sense.
Interest rates
and interest rates have
have dropped
all-time low from the history of
2007
mankind.
days.
Yes, and this is the indicator that people are losing jobs. They don't have enough money to afford to live. So all these things equals this. Is that what you're saying?
Bora tumesema.
I think the issue is there anybody who has contrary data to this?
So we've told you.
Because there's one thing, right? There's one thing to actually push back against it, but push back against it and say, no, inflation is not 2.7%.
Oh, no.
Push back and say,
There's no
no,
food
we
in the
don't
barn.
have this number of bags in the barn. Push back and say, no, interest rates are not coming down. Push back and say, if there's anybody with contrary information, then we
You say that the dollar has not been at 129 for the last 90
for
days.
me, it's not an academic exercise. We have to push back with statistics and data. All that we are being told is supposed to equal a better life for Kenyans. And I'm asking the simple question, is there a better life for Kenyans with all that statistics and all that data? The answer is no, it is not. So what are the statistics for?
City. This
They're
is
for
a
making
light.
fire, those sticks.
This is a light.
Yes.
It's at the end of the tunnel. You're only 50 meters to the end of the tunnel.
Are we
As
the right
opposed
tunnel?
to 2022, when you were 50 kilometers to the end of the tunnel and there was a dim light. The light at the end of the tunnel is brighter. The distance to the end of the tunnel is shorter. Stay alive.
Amen.
Get to the end of the tunnel.
We're in different tunnels, clearly.
My brother, that I'm just trying to.
Gathoni Wamuchomba, MP for Githunguri. In which tunnel are you? Are you in this tunnel?
VP. VP.
Fiti.
Fiti. Mimi sisemi poa. Hapana.
Si poa.
First of all, kwanza simunipatie nafasi niwasalimie wale
Carry on, please.
wanatusikize. Mimi nimewauliza vipi.
Oh, vipi. Okay, sawa.
Unasema poa.
Haikuwa wholesale.
Poleni nimechelewa. It's raining in Nairobi. I live in the constituency kule Githunguri huko Kiambu na nimechelewa kwa traffic. I'm sorry about that.
That's
My
perfectly
sincere
all right.
apologies.
Okay.
Nimepata mkiongea maneno ya vile tumetoboa.
Yeah.
We've succeeded.
Things
Things are looking.
Serious something.
can only get better.
Those numbers you're reading sounds very nice.
But the cabinet was
Are
informed.
the
of this
figures the
yesterday.
same when it comes to interest rates for those who have taken loans in the commercial banks?
They're reducing.
What are the numbers like right now?
Which numbers?
I mean, what is the interest rate for a commercial loan?
The CBR rate has come down by what? Was it 0.75 basis points? So your banks should also be reducing the interest rate.
Have they
by the
reduced?
same margin? Some have, yes.
You know, I campaigned on the slogan of Pesa Mfukoni. So after all those numbers have been mentioned, how much is in my pocket? That's what matters. How much is available in my pocket? You see, as we speak about those numbers, I'm worried that pensioners are yet to receive their money.
Which
As
pensioners?
pensioners, Kenyan pensioners, they are owed about
Those who work in
22 billion shillings. They've not been paid. As you read about those numbers, please remember, counties are yet to receive their money. And by the way, huko kwa ma-counties, kumekauka, hakuna pesa.
Because you parliamentarians are refusing to
As you
accept
read
how
those
much they
figures,
want.
allow me to tell you,
Members of the National Assembly are stuck on reducing the amount of money that should go to counties.
As you read those figures, I've told you counties are yet to receive any money.
Yeah.
As you read those figures, pensioners are yet to get their money, about 22 billion shillings. As you read those figures, HELB beneficiaries, students, university students are yet to receive their money. So for me, what matters is what is in the pocket, what is the residue of all those statistical, as City calls them, numbers. What really matters is what is in my handbag and my wallet.
So where's the disconnect?
I mean, we are so technical and we are so theoretical. We need to be practical. We need to be real.
Reality is based on something. There's a reality that's in figures that can be proven, tangible, very well calculated. You can see how they're derived. And then there's a reality of the import of what that is. Right? So, for example,
like you said,
if our economy has been growing at over 5%, for the last X number of years, are we arguing against that?
I don't understand.
Are we saying that our economy has not been growing?
Erica, I'm a layman, but a layman interprets it this way. How many people have lost jobs in my neighborhood? That's my layman interpretation.
Absolutely. So should we be asking the question, Mheshimiwa, that we're saying here, if you had a family unit, for example, that was in the doldrums 5 years ago, both parents were out of work, they were not able to make anything come in, right? Then as you go along, one gets work, the other one has started has opened a small business because they got some capital injection, right? They were eating 1 meal a day. And at that point, to gather the children, maybe try and pay school fees. Then over time, we see that because of this job and because of this small business that has started, what do we see? We see that now going from 1 meal a day and being in arrears school fees, we now see that the arrears in school fees has reduced. We also see now that instead of eating 1 meal a day, they're eating 2. So what we are saying is, in as much as the numbers have changed in the country, we should be able to see that now people can be eating the 2 meals a day, that the arrears in school fees would be reducing. But we are not seeing that.
That's what I'm saying. I'm a layman. For me, I just want to see the results near me, not on books and on laptops as figures. I just want to ask, how many people in my neighborhoods have lost jobs? I mean, simple.
I keep reminding everybody.
How many hospitals right now? That is why you see the Catholic bishops very annoyed.
Yeah.
How many, for example, mission hospitals are yet to be paid the arrears of 200 plus million per hospital by NHIF? As we speak right now, that is why the bishops are very annoyed, because they are the people, they are the trustees of those hospitals. And the hospitals are owed billions by NHIF. So when you tell us there that inflation has gone down, and you're telling us that you have more money in circulation in terms of what you're performing better, where is the disconnect? Where is the money that is supposed to be paid to these hospitals? Where is pensioners' money? Because they are yet to be paid. Hello? Where is help?
You know, Gathoni.
Students are still to get money.
They will not sit the exams.
They are not sitting exams, by the way.
The cabinet is saying that there is stability. The first thing that you do with a patient is stabilize
because they live
patient.
In Karen.
Stabilize the patient.
Don't understand what's happening in
I will
Utawara.
remind you again, between 2002 and 2007, when the Mwai Kibaki administration was doing the same kind of thing, we are stabilizing, we are doing this and the other. The then opposition leader, Uhuru Kenyatta, once asked, those things that these people are saying, where is the money in people's pockets?
He asked.
People could not feel it. And many turned up at the ballot in 2007 and said, this Kibaki man, wapi jina ingine, leta ingine, tuweke hiyo. See? Time cometh.
Eric.
Me and you were in the same studio, and you know very well, Eric, that time 2006, 2007. You know very well, Eric, that even as we asked where was the money, that was the time, the period when new job entrants, like let me say new graduates getting new jobs, afforded to import their own cars. That was the boom. That's when Thika Road became smaller for us or congested, because there were so many vehicles imported by new job entrants.
And it's also the same period of time when banks became kiosks.
Yeah.
Where every corner you turned, there were people begging you to take a loan.
And that's how we bought cars. Me and you, Eric, knows very well.
So Uhuru was asking a current question.
I used to drive what type of a car? Because you know me very well, Eric. And that's the only time we afforded to go to any bank and got some loans.
Take up loans
and we were competing
cars.
on which car to buy in the newsroom. Because I'm from the newsroom, for those who don't know me well.
Let's take a break.
So let's not talk about figures. Let's talk about reality. Yeah, reality.
You're here so that we talk about...
What do you think that student who is stranded in the university somewhere is thinking or feeling when we are talking about that things are okay and they are yet to receive their help rations?
He's thinking there is hope. Gathoni Wamuchomba is our guest. She's the MP for Githunguri constituency. She's currently still the chairperson of the Constitution Implementation Oversight Committee of the National Assembly.
And the chair of Coffee Caucus.
Siti, send her to a break with the day's proverb.
Yes, that is what I will. Our proverbs for the whole of this week have been from the Republic of Kenya, and the proverbs have been in the Kiswahili language. And you, our esteemed guest, will ask you to tell us what you think the interpretation in English is, and also what you understand the proverb to mean. Lisilo na budi hutendwa.
Lisilo na budi hutendwa.
I'm not alone.
I am floating.
Bas.
Lisilo na budi.
Can I guess?
Hey.
Perfect.
You are still doing what is not intentional. You're still doing what you didn't intend to do.
Yeah, that's actually very good. So what do you think the proverb, what meaning were they trying to glean from this proverb?
Sometimes you even add weight to some statements that you really don't mean.
You're actually right.
Like now somebody responded to the bishops and telling them that they are not liars, but the bishops are saying you are lying.
Certified health education and promotion expert. What's that?
The person who is trained to disseminate information around and educating the masses around health issues. Yeah. The certification was done at AMREF.
Right. So we have issues with the rollout of SHA. And you've talked about the Catholic bishops yesterday were talking about it. And they said, the health facilities that are faith-based are among the very many facilities that are in private hands and that also provide the services to Kenyans. And it's a big issue of what's happening there. The health ministry came back and responded and said, in terms of, rolling out SHA, we acknowledge that there have been issues in NHIF and legacy debt, and the government is working towards clearing legacy debt. In Parliament the day before yesterday, Parliament actually took a moment to discuss this SHA rollout and saying we are hearing so many complaints from the ground on what's happening. And the government has been saying, yeah, we are facing teething problems, but it's just, we are correcting as we go, and we're actually tightening the loose nuts and here and there. What's the situation in Githunguri and elsewhere, from what you hear?
First of all, I want to thank the great people of Githunguri for allowing me to be their representative. And by the power of their votes, I wrote a letter to the Speaker of the National Assembly on the 11th of November and asked the Speaker of the National Assembly to adjourn the business of the House so that we can debate the big issue of health, access to health. And fortunately, when I wrote my letter, there is another member who had also written the same letter the previous week, Honorable Dr. Lilian Gogo, MP for Rangwe. And the House Business Committee ruled that they are going to honor the request by the two members. And the adjournment request was granted. And therefore, we adjourned the business of the House. And unfortunately, we adjourned at 5:45 p.m. And that was not our request. Our request was to adjourn the House immediately after the composition. That notwithstanding, we debated. And every other member who spoke about or debated around the issue of SHA and SHIF complained that their voters are not accessing services, health services at the various county and referral hospitals. As a member for Githunguri, I will confidently say that that is true because I got a lot of distress calls during recess, when we were on recess, and that is why I wrote the letter to ask for the adjournment of business of the House. And I took another step. I visited about 5 hospitals where my voters referred me to go and witness what's going on. And out of the hospitals that I visited, one is a mission hospital, which confirmed to me that the reason why they had slow uptake of SHA services was because they are owed over 233 million by NHIF. And there was no commitment letter to pay that money, because they were saying if she, before she was activated, if there was a letter that was written to us committing that we are migrating, and we assure you that we are migrating with your loans and we are going to pay, or the debts we are going to pay. So they were telling us every week they are getting about 600,000 out of the 233 million. And NHIF system was releasing to them 600,000. So they told me, do the maths.
Money owed or for services rendered?
Money owed.
Wow, okay.
And the services rendered are still accumulating.
Yeah.
So, and of course, when one hospital opens up right now, every other patient is going to that hospital. So they were saying they have received 4 times the number of clients they used to receive when they opened up services for SHA, even without any commitment to pay. So I can foresee even a bigger problem than we have today.
Let me ask, how did this debt accumulate to that level for this particular hospital?
I may not be able to speak at length because, of course, I'm not. I don't have access to a lot of information because that's the information I gathered. But that only tells you that when we used to hear, especially between 2022 July to about 2022 December, a whole lot of about 21 billion shillings was lost from NHIF. So I think that is the money that got lost, and somehow it was not remitted to the hospitals. So my question, and that is why I woke up very early to come to Spice FM, I am asking, why did we have to rush to implement SHA, knowing very well that we had a lot of debts that are not honored by NHIF? Why couldn't we first of all sort out our own issues in NHIF, prepare people for migration? I think even when you are in insolvency of a company, you declare to your creditors and your debtors, isn't it? Yeah, you give notice.
You do.
So that your creditors and your debtors can arrange on how they are going to sort out their issues with you. But you just don't crumble something. So anyway, we debated very seriously in the National Assembly, and to my disappointment, the only thing that we could do as a house that is looked upon by every other Kenyan for solutions when there are crises like this is to ask for a kamukunji.
I don't understand.
Kamukunji of whom?
Of MPs.
What's a kamukunji?
A kamukunji is a small meeting outside the standing orders of Parliament to go and have a conversation and invite visitors who can come and clarify issues, not officially. That's why it's called kamukunji.
It's informal.
Without Hansard, without the
record.
Off the record, thank you. So the best we could have done as members of Parliament, after I have written this letter and another member has written this letter, indicating the interest generated by members of public, is to call a kamukunji and call that minister in charge of health, call that PS in charge of health, call that person in charge of SHA, call that person in charge of SHI to come and talk to MPs. And I'm sure you saw my ex-post, and I said calling a kamukunji for MPs does not sort out the problem.
But that doesn't
because even these MPs don't rely on this SHI and SHA.
Sorry,
they have their medical covers.
But by the time Parliament is asking, because it is Parliament who has requested this kamukunji, it is not somebody else. By the time Parliament is requesting that somebody from outside, SHA, SHI, whatever, comes to explain what is going on, does that not denote that in the very beginning, when it was being passed, then there was not an understanding of what was actually being passed.
Definitely, that's the indication that even the members who voted yes didn't know what they were voting. I mean, how do you pass a law and then along the way you realize it's not working and you're the one who passed the law, and then you go public saying, let us have a kamukunji so that we can know what is going on?
You know, June 25th. Remember June 25th?
Yes.
What happened?
That happened.
The Kenyans who came to Parliament and said, you guys go. We can parliament ourselves. I think these are some of the reasons why. Because Parliament last year passed 4 laws.
Yeah, in a hurry.
4 laws on health. And they were hurried through Parliament. One of those laws was the Social Health Authority Act, which repeals the NHIF Act and says SHA shall take over assets and liabilities of NHIF. And then we shall have this transition. Throughout that period of transition, which gave NHIF 1 year to continue living after the law became assented to, throughout that period, Parliament, which has a standing departmental committee on health. What are those things that you say and do that they do, doing their things with their twiddling their thumbs?
Twiddling their thumbs, and we can even say just picking their noses.
Those ones. It clearly appears that that's what was happening, because how many questions did this committee and entire Parliament ask to the Ministry of Health? We have a sunset date for NHIF. Do we have a register of all the assets of NHIF? Do we have a register of all the liabilities of NHIF? What happens to these liabilities? Was that matter ever addressed in Parliament? I don't remember.
I can tell you. The other day I said I'm one of those members of Parliament that are very embarrassed to be associated with the 13th Parliament. And I keep saying that. Because some of the things that we are doing in that Parliament are so, let me use the word hazardous, to the livelihoods of people, of Kenyan people. And we look like we no longer care. You know why I say that? Because I don't understand how you make a law and you give a choir of affirmation, and then you are the same person who is complaining that this is not functional or it is not working. And then all you can do after even the uproar from members of public is to call a kamukunji. Does my mother in the village care what I do in that kamukunji? Do they even publish what we discuss in those kamukunjis? We were bringing this issue on the floor of the House so that we can have a resolution that is going to enable that patient who is yet to access dialysis. Now that we did a kamukunji, and those guys came and did all what they said, and who cared? Who cared to take the resolutions and make sure they are implemented?
The kamukunji has happened?
Yeah, it did. It did. Do you know that it happened yesterday?
Oh, no.
It did.
And then?
The kamukunji happened.
Who came?
The minister sent somebody there. The PS was there, coming to tell us what's going on. I refused to attend, by the way.
And then
because I found like it was a waste of time.
What's the output of that kamukunji?
I don't even know, because it's not published today in today's paper. You did not talk about it in your news.
No.
So it's a way of killing my request, my prayer.
But I
wrote a very lengthy letter. By the way, it was a very lengthy letter. Since I know you love reading, it was a very lengthy letter, citing the story, the journey from the day we brought about the SHIF and the SHA Act, citing what has been happening and going down to what is happening in the corridors of most hospitals, citing even the 19th July 2024 High Court declaration, and asking the Speaker, now that this has happened, from Parliament to State House to signing the Act, to implementation of the Act, to the courts, and back to the public, we need as Parliament to give a resolution, a way forward. We need to jumpstart the process, because there is a problem. The only solution we gave was, let us do a kamukunji.
Let me ask. Okay, so at the point...
And people keep bashing members of Parliament at, this Parliament doesn't function,
well, it doesn't. People
don't work. Some of us work, and that is why we wake up in the morning to come to Spice FM, for people to know what is going on, for people to understand what frustrations we are going on, Eric.
Let me ask a question.
Please ask.
When Parliament now resolved, let's hold a kamukunji, what was the mandate of the Kamukunji? I think it was given to the chair of the health committee,
Yes.
Dr. Pukose,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Convene a Kamukunji.
No, Kamukunji is never convened by a member. It was convened by the speaker.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Kamukunji then is happening. What was expected to be the result of that? Were they supposed to come and report back to the house? Was
Normally, Kamukunji is held to deal with matters that involve or touches on members of parliament's welfare. Some knowledge of some information that members need to know or to understand without the formality of proceedings of the house. You understand?
so?
like for example, when members feel like their food is not well done, we do a Kamukunji to go and discuss, because we can't discuss that on the platform of parliament. You understand? On record. So when you take an official subject like health stalemate and you make it so simplified to a welfare of members, you understand? You reduce an issue that is so formal to informal.
What I'm asking,
to me, I feel like we are not fair to the people of Kenya.
What I'm asking is, when the proposal to hold a Kamukunji was tabled, and members voted and said, yes, let's do a Kamukunji, what was their thinking? Was the thinking, and give me a moment here, was the thinking, let's have an informal session, let's invite all these people who are responsible, and let's also tell the health committee that all of us are actually going to have and help you do this particular job, and then the health committee, you shall come with recommendations as requested by Gathoni here. We want action. So this Kamukunji, having galvanized and gathered a lot of information from everybody, will then come with
no. The outcome of Kamukunji, Eric,
what was
is
this particular
to enable
Kamukunji?
members to understand SHIF and SHA's responsibility and functionalities, so that when they go on microphone in funerals and in churches,
they can educate the people.
They can tell their voters what's going on. That was the essence of the Kamukunji. But my intention of writing the letter to adjourn the House was not basically to educate MPs, because they're the ones who passed the law. My intention was for the government of Kenya, through the Ministry of Health, to understand that the representative of the people still feel there's much to be done, so that we can actually come in and say, can we halt this whole migration first? Can we revert maybe to the previous program of NHIF until we sort out these mission hospitals, until we do what we are calling population means evaluation, until the system, this data system, shared data system that keeps on falling is stable, until the government of Kenya is able to fund SHA adequately. Until we have done all the preparations, we can now fully migrate. That was my intention.
Right. Makes sense.
But it was reduced to a members' welfare discussion.
Let's get to understand SHIF so we can go and educate
our people.
So they can
Since when
register.
did a member of parliament become the educator?
The question I want to ask Mheshimiwa is this. I have actually read.
You've read my letter?
Yes, I have.
Is it heavy?
It goes into very good details. There are details that I particularly liked. When you quoted Article 26, 28, and 43, we're talking about the right to life, the right to human dignity, and the right to health care. Okay? Sometimes when things are mentioned, one doesn't understand on what you are anchoring your particular discussion. And nothing surpasses this. And the crafters of the Constitution understood this well when they wrote these things and when they gave the citizens of this country this right. And what we're discussing here is the absolute and sheer abrogation of these rights, even as we watch. It's unfolding before our very eyes. Let me ask this question, Mheshimiwa. When it comes to decisions that are made, decisions that relate to the welfare and the lives of the citizens of this country, when you talk among yourselves, do you have a sense that your colleagues understand what they are doing? Do they understand the import of the decisions they are making and the impact it has on the people they represent?
I don't think most members of parliament do understand, because sometimes I find ourselves so blind in lawmaking that we make laws that are so difficult to implement at the detriment of our people's livelihood. For example, I've seen a lot of uproar, members of public complaining about the selling of national assets, for example. The selling of JKIA and many other assets that have been enlisted under the privatization program. But we are the people who made the law, the Privatization Act. And we made it in a record of less than 2 weeks. The same members of parliament who voted yes for that law, I have seen them on newspapers, I have seen them on television, complaining that our public assets are being sold. So what does that tell you? It tells you that some members just walk in the house, don't read anything, and just asks.
Some don't walk in the house.
What are we voting for? And they just vote. How do you pass a law and take away the power of parliament on oversighting what is going to be sold from national as a national asset? You take away the power of parliament to ask questions. Who is buying? Why are we selling? What value are we selling? Who is the person actually buying the asset? Because we took all that power. The only power we left parliament with is the power of ratification.
So parliament took away powers.
And that power of ratification has a condition that if a ratification program is brought to parliament and it is not passed in a record of 2 weeks, cabinet is free to implement without even parliamentary ratification.
So essentially you're saying that parliament emasculated itself.
Oh yeah.
In broad daylight.
We have taken away the power of parliament and given it
To the
on a silver platter to the executive.
Sounds like big problems, Mheshimiwa.
A very big problem. I was in the previous parliament, the 12th parliament. I have been very active on parliamentary matters even before I was elected, but I've never seen a parliament like that in the parliament. I'm sorry. I am very sorry, but that's the truth. So look at this situation now. She and Sha and Da is still. Why are you laughing?
Well, because the country.
It's still a matrix of problems that we are yet to unravel.
You're saying that the.
What do you want to do next in 30 seconds?
What I want to do next is what I've done this morning. I have done my bit as a member of parliament. I am defeated to that level I've explained. I want members of public now to do what they think is right for them.
All right.
Because parliament has failed them.
Gathoni Wamuchomba, MP Githunguri constituency, certified health education and promotion expert, chair of the Committee on Constitution Implementation Oversight Committee.
You are right.
Chair of the Coffee Caucus.
Yes.
And you're losing. Which one are you losing soon?
I
you
hope,
wait and see. Let's see.
I hope not to lose any, but even if I lose, I don't lose my power of being a member of parliament for Githunguri.
Very good.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.